Hey, what's up guys? This is the Wheelman282 here again with another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Sega CD. I am so excited about this. Guys, I've been wanting a Sega CD for so long. And I just haven't bought one really just because they've been going up in price. You know, these working units go for $100, sometimes more. Broken ones 40 or 50, and that's just really too rich for my blood, especially for a broken unit. You know, I'm not willing to pay really over $20 for a broken unit. So I finally got one. Awesome story behind this unit. So this one was actually donated to my channel. A guy named Eli lives about an hour away from me. He was gracious enough to donate this to me. When he gave it to me, he said it didn't work and it wasn't doing him any good. So, you know, he was gracious enough to just give it to me. And so that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Is fixing this and restoring it, cleaning it up, and hopefully getting it working again. I haven't actually tested it yet, so hopefully we can get that working. So cool story behind this thing. So a friend of mine at work, he was looking on Craigslist. He was going to get a CRT for his game room, and I have a truck, so he wanted me to, or he asked me to, you know, go help him move the CRT. It's like, yeah, let's go get this TV. So we drive about an hour away to the next county. So we loaded up in the truck and we're talking to the the owner, and apparently he's a big game fan. He enjoys retro games just like I do, and my buddy at work. And he's like, hey, you want to see our game room? We're like, yeah, absolutely. So we go look at it. Awesome game room, amazing things in there. He's got some really rare items. Hard to find stuff. It's amazing. So, you know, while we're in there chatting, I said, hey man, you got a Sega CD? I've been wanting for those for a long time. He's like, hey, I've got a broken one, you can have it. And I was like, wow, it's, you know, I was blown away. I mean, a total stranger just gave me this thing, guys. Really nice guy. So Eli, thank you very much. You are awesome, dude. You've fulfilled my dreams of owning a Sega CD now. So again, Eli, thank you so much. Thank you for donating to my channel, man. I really appreciate it. So yeah, we're going to be restoring this thing, hopefully, if I can get it working. I haven't actually tested it yet. Eli said it wasn't working. You know, that could be any number of things. So I'll go ahead and get it hooked up, and we'll turn it on for the first time and see if anything's wrong with it. And hopefully we can get it working, guys. So yeah, let me go get my Genesis, and we'll go ahead and plug it all in. Alright, I've got my Model 2 Genesis hooked up to the CD. I'm using the 1602 power adapter on the CD and the 2103 on the Genesis 2 here. So that should be the correct adapters from what I've read online. I'm not really familiar with the CD units, again, because I've never owned one. This is my very first CD unit I've ever actually, you know, even touched. So if I mess something up during the video, just, you know, leave a comment and correct me. But yeah, so I've got the audio coming out of the CD, video coming out of the Genesis, going to my monitor here. So let's go ahead and turn it on and see what happens. And nothing's happening. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to get a BIOS screen on the CD, and we're not. Yeah, power's plugged in. No video. Okay. I think the access light should be flashing on here, and it's not, so I assume the CD is not getting power. Let me pop a game in here and make sure my Genesis is working. Yeah, I mean, I've got video. Let's try that again. I know the Genesis works. I wonder if it's interfering with the Sega CD. I wonder why that game's not working. Let me unplug this. See if it works now. Oh, check it out. Okay. I'm not getting audio because I don't have the audio hooked up to the unit. It's just the CD hooked up. So yeah, the Genesis is working, Sega CD is not. Interesting. Okay. I will have to do some research online to see what's going on with this. I read a lot about the fuses going in or going out on either this model or both models. I don't remember now. I have to do a little bit of research on this. Again, I'm not real familiar with the Sega CD. So yeah, let me do a little bit of research on this thing and see if maybe the fuse is the culprit. That's just what I read online anyway. Yeah, let me see what I can turn up. Okay, so all of my research points to a bad fuse in the Sega CD, and according to the internet, that is like uber common for these fuses to blow. I don't really understand why that would be the case, unless you just plugged in the wrong power adapter. I mean, as long as you're using the right power adapter, it should work fine. So that's kind of weird to me. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and tear this thing down. Also, from what I read online, it's got 6 screws on the bottom and it just holds the case on, and they're all Phillips. One thing I love about Sega consoles is they don't use security screws. I love that about Sega consoles. So yeah, I want to take the screws out, see what's inside. I've never actually opened one of these before, so it's kind of exciting to me. So yeah, let's go ahead and take these out. Okay, so here's the inside. Right offhand, what the heck is this thing? Is that a mod chip? What the? That actually looks factory, like it's glued in. Yeah, there's factory glue holding this in, and there's little foam pads attaching it to the motherboard. What is that? I wonder if that's some sort of bodge board or just correction board that Sega put in. That's weird. I've never actually seen anything like that. That's kind of interesting. I'll have to do some research on that. We have a save battery. I'll need to check that, see if that's dead. Otherwise, I mean, it all looks pretty simple to take apart and everything. Let's see. According to the internet, the fuse should be here on this back side. Go ahead and take these screws out really quick. So here's our motherboard with this really strange bodge board on it. What is this? It's factory glued in. I mean, you can see where they just wiped the glue on it, and there's like a little foam pad right here where they've just got it stuck down. That's really strange. What is that? I'll have to look that up. That's really intriguing. At first I thought it was like a mod chip. I don't even think that exists for a Sega CD, but that's just, I don't know. That's cool. I'll have to look that up. That's very interesting. See, we have the save battery here. This is it looks like a 2025. It's kind of covered up there. 3-volt rechargeable. I have to see about the voltage on that. It's probably dead, or probably won't hold a charge anymore. Okay, so there's the bottom of the board. Okay. So there's a couple of revisions of the Model 2 Sega CD. A little bit different layout, I think, and there's a couple of different versions of the fuse. So I think this is what they call a revision 1 board. So on this board, the fuse is right here, and just from looking online, like there's like a bazillion videos on replacing the fuses in these things. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time explaining to you about this. Yeah, I'll just go in and replace it. On the, I guess the revision 2 boards, there's actually a surface mount fuse here on the bottom, somewhere in this area right here, and it's like it's a white fuse. So I guess you'd call this a revision 1 board, if that's the proper nomenclature. I'm not totally sure on that. So yeah, let me I want to do a little bit more research on the fuse, see if I can find a rating on it or something, and we'll continue. So here's the closer up view of the fuse I was talking about. So it's this little green guy right here. This is actually a fuse, kind of looks like a resistor, and it's marked F301 upside down right there. So it's all over the internet that these are notorious for blowing, like I said. So I want to go ahead and test it real quick. And we'll see what happens. So meter's working. So let's test this fuse and see what we get. If it's if the fuse is blown, we should get nothing. And sure enough, we are not getting continuity at all. Make sure those leads are really in there. Yep. Not getting continuity. So that means the fuse is blown, which is kind of, you know, what I expected. So I don't have any of these fuses. I looked at the service manual for this board, or for this, just the Model 2 CD. It says this is a Pico 2 fuse, and it says it's 125 volts, rated at 2.5 amps. So I don't have any of these. I'll have to order some from eBay and wait on those to come in. But I'm curious to see if the unit actually works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of alligator clips. I'm just going to jump the fuse just to see if I can get the unit to turn on. The only reason the fuse would blow is if somebody plugged in the wrong power adapter, or there was some sort of any kind of electrical problem. As long as I'm using the right adapter plugged in, it should work fine. So I'm not too worried about destroying the board with the fuse jumped, at least temporarily. Just see if I can get it to work. So yeah, I'm going to take my my clips and just bridge the fuse real quick, install the board back into the case so we can test it, and we'll see what happens. There we go. I just got a couple of alligator clips on a wire, connecting the two sides of the fuse together. This shouldn't hurt anything. I mean, as long as I got the right power adapter plugged in, it should be fine, which I already know I do. So yeah, I'm actually curious to see if this is the only problem with this, because if it is, that's a really easy fix. Not exactly quick, because you got to order the fuses, and I don't have any. Yeah, I mean, if this is the only problem, this is potentially a very quick fix, which is awesome. Now, there's nothing to say that the CD drive is working. I haven't actually, we haven't tested that yet. So maybe there's some problems with the CD drive too. I don't know. But yeah, let's go ahead and turn this thing on and see what happens. So got everything hooked up now. I got the white wire here is bridging the fuse, and I've got everything hooked up just the way it was. It's just the cover off. I also got a screwdriver propping up the Genesis here on the side. So yeah, everything should be ready to test. Let's go ahead and turn this thing on and see what happens. Oh, heck yes. Just a fuse, guys. That's literally all it is. It's just a fuse that was causing the problem, guys. You can't really see it, but the access light is blinking like I guess it's supposed to be doing that. Again, not real sure on these. Yeah, we're getting video, we're getting sound. Cool. Let's see if a CD works. Okay, so I've got a music CD. This is some James Bond music. It's just a test CD I keep around here. Also, I wasn't initially aware of this, but there's no clip on the spindle like you see in a lot of the newer consoles, like PS1, Dreamcast, things like that. It relies on the old magnet on the top. So I had to take the spindle, or the magnet, from the top of the CD unit here, just take it out, and so I can attach it to the spindle, and so the disc will spin. That's pretty old. Wow, you don't see that technology anymore. So yeah, let's see if this will work. I need to find something to close the door switch here. Got a clothespin. And it's reading it. Checking disk. Press the start button. Okay, so it recognizes there's a disk there. That's a good thing. Let's see. Okay, so it's some music CDs. Okay, let's see if it'll play. Keep in mind, I haven't actually cleaned this yet. Yes, it is working, guys. At least it's reading a music CD. That is awesome. That's really good news, actually, because if it's reading a music CD, that means more than likely it will read a game. It might require some tweaking to get it to read the game, but it's a very good possibility it will. Okay, this is good news. I don't actually have any Sega CD games at all, like zero. I'm gonna have to burn one and see if it'll work. Let me go download a game real quick, and I'll burn it, and let's see if this thing will play any burned games. This is good news, guys. Okay, so I just burned a game. So I think I saw GameSack doing an episode on the Sega CD, and they showed off several games. Soulstar looked pretty cool, so I wanted to try that out first. So yeah, I just burned a copy of Soulstar here. And I'm just gonna put the magnet on. So let's see if this will actually play a game. I am very excited to see, because I mean, I haven't, other than just jump that fuse, I haven't done anything else. I'm sure the laser needs to be cleaned. It looks pretty filthy. And I'm curious to see if it'll even just play a game. So press start. Okay, we got our license screen, so that's good. The drive is pretty noisy. It probably needs to be greased. So that's one thing I'll have to do. But it is playing the game. I'm just looking at the full motion video, listening to the audio, listening for any skips. I don't hear any skipping at all. This is very good, guys. This is a good sign. So let's press the start button here. Okay.
The objective is to gain access to the warp-ship. The mission has 3 phases. Phase 1, penetrate the Mercoid's first line of defense. Phase 2,
oh gosh, this is cheesy as heck.
Phase 3, penetrate the Mercoid's second line of defense and enter the warp-ship.
This is so cool. Wow. Okay, looks like we're actually into the actual game now. Yep, I am moving my ship. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, so it's working, guys. Okay. So that's really good. I can't believe it's even reading burn games without me actually cleaning the thing yet. That's incredible. What I'm going to do, so I'm still waiting on the fuses to get that replaced. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go ahead and tear the whole thing down and just wash it. So the top and bottom cases are really filthy. There's a lot of dust inside. The RF shielding needs to be cleaned. It's pretty dusty as well. I'm also going to clean the CD drive. I'm just going to tear it down and clean it all. I'm going to re-grease all the gears here, all the linkage, and also the rails that the laser slides on. The motherboard itself looks fairly clean. I could probably blow it out with an air compressor, but overall it looks pretty well. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start washing the case, and while that's drying, we'll go ahead and tear down the laser here. Alright, I got the case drying and everything, so I'm going to go ahead and start refurbing the disk drive here. So just based on the experience I have with Saturns, the disk drive is actually pretty similar. It's got the same type of cover here for the lens, so it just kind of unclips on these two sides, and then there's another clip right here, and it just kind of folds back like that. So I need to go wash that unit there. It's pretty dirty, very dusty around here. I'm going to have to take it apart and, re-grease everything. Looks like in order to get the rail out right here for the lens, you have to undo these two screws, and then you can slide that rail out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the lens out with this huge gear right here. I might have to try to pop that off. I don't know. See over here on this side, there's really not much to look at. The lens just kind of slides on this. I think that's metal. It's just where metal is like either glued or folded over right there. Let's see, over here on the bottom side. Again, not much to look at. We have our transmission motor here. Here's our spindle motor, and then here we have our laser assembly that slides back and forth. A lot of cables on this thing. I mean, you can. I guess that makes sense for an early, CD-ROM drive. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take all this out. I'm gonna re-grease everything. Hopefully, I don't have to take this gear off, but if I do, whatever. And I'll just clean it up with some Q-tips and alcohol, and we'll get it refurbed. Okay, so I'm just working on tearing it down. I did have to end up taking that gear off, and it just it snaps on. There's a couple of little, I don't know, snaps on top of the gear here, and then the only way I could get it off was to take a small flathead screwdriver and just kind of pry it off from the bottom, and it just snaps off. So there's that. I had to take that off. I've got took the grommets out of the 4 posts. I'm going to go ahead and clean those up. They're pretty dirty. Here's the laser assembly, and I just took the top cover off right here. So yeah, here's the laser. Pretty primitive compared to what you see on the PlayStation and whatnot. It's a pretty big gap between where the laser actually comes out of the assembly, and then shines through the lens. There's a lot of dust in there, I'm guessing because of that. So I might have to maybe try to get a Q-tip or something smaller in there to clean that out, or maybe use the air compressor with a really low setting, try to blow that out. Just looking at the lens, shining a light on the lens at an angle, there's a lot of dust on it, so I have to clean that up. I'm going to re-grease the gears, all the transmission and everything. And just in case you were wondering, this is a KSS 210A, excuse me. So yeah. Anyway, I want to show you this. This is kind of interesting. So the limit switch on this drive is kind of strange. I've never seen one like this. So here's the limit switch, and instead of it just being like just a simple push button switch where you just almost like a momentary switch, this is actually very similar to the closed door switch that's on the motherboard. So when the drive slides forward, it actually hits that switch, and it actually kind of like pushes it forward. Oh, it's really strange. I've never seen a switch like this where it just kind of like it almost goes down at an angle like that. It's kind of interesting. Never seen a switch like that before. Maybe you can get a better shot of that. So yeah, pretty interesting that. So yeah, anyway, I just kind of wanted to show you, kind of how it's built, how it works. See, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then we'll put it back together. I went ahead and installed the actual CD-ROM drive back into the unit. I don't have the protective cover on it right now, but just real quickly, you know, I said I cleaned up the whole thing. So basically, what I did was I cleaned up the plate, the metal plate here, with just some rubbing alcohol and some Q-tips. It's got all, that was pretty dirty and dusty. I just cleaned that off. I lightly greased all the gears here with some silicone grease. When you're refurbing any kind of disk drive, one thing you don't want to do is really gob the grease in there. It actually creates resistance when the drive's moving, and it can get pretty nasty over time. So I just lightly greased those. I've also greased the rail here that the laser slides on, and also right here on this side as well. Been lightly greased. If you're fixing your unit, one thing to watch out for is if the spindle is at the correct height. So if I just grab the cover here and just snap this guy on. So again, if you're fixing your unit, make sure your spindle is at the correct height. The spindle should be just above the edge of the plastic here on the cover, maybe a millimeter, maybe 2 millimeters, depending. If the spindle happens to be like right on the level with this piece of plastic or lower, your CD drive is not going to work. So you'd have to, I don't know, either use a screwdriver or use your fingers and to kind of inch that up a little bit to get it at the correct height. But otherwise, our CD-ROM drive is all ready to go. You know, clean the lens and everything, so we're all set there. I am still waiting on the fuses to come in the mail. It's shipping from China, so it's going to be a week or two. So as soon as I get those in the mail, we'll go ahead and install that. So let's go ahead and swap out the save battery here. I've got some leftover parts from when I did the video on replacing the battery in my Dreamcast. So I've got a socket here, a rechargeable battery, scrap wire, a little bit of heat shrink tubing. This is optional, you don't have to use that. And this is some Scotch mounting tape for mounting like shelves and picture frames to the wall. This is really strong stuff. It's almost like a foam tape, and it's super strong. It works great for this kind of thing. I actually replaced the save battery on an MBS machine that my buddy had that he asked me to fix for him. So highly recommended this mounting tape. So anyway, I wanted to take my desoldering station and go ahead and take the battery out first, and then we'll go ahead and wire in the socket here. Okay, so the board's flipped over here. The 3 points you see here, these are the battery terminals. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove those. Alright, so I've got the battery taken off, finally. It was actually a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be, but I've got it taken off here. So I'm starting to prepare the battery holder here. It might even be easier to use the style where you just lay the battery in flat, like just a standard battery holder. I don't have any of those. I'm just using what I have left over from that Dreamcast fix video. Which is this. So what I've done is I've taken that mounting tape and I've just kind of stuck it on one side to this socket, and I think what's actually going to be handy in this situation is to take the holder and just kind of stick it out there on the edge, so that the battery kind of like hang off the edge right there a little bit, and you'll be able to just pop one in and pop it out. Be pretty easy. So actually, I've kind of changed my mind. Instead of using this red wire for the positive signal going into the board, what I'm going to do is I want to use these little I don't even know what you call them. These came off of like there's little resistor legs that are just unused. I just keep them because sometimes they come in handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of these, solder them in these holes here, and they're just going to kind of meet up onto the battery terminal, the positive terminal, like that kind of. And I think that'll just be easier than soldering two really short wires. It'll probably save time. However, what I'm going to do with the negative terminal here on the bottom side of this thing is I'm going to take the black wire, solder that on, put some heat shrink on there, and I'm going to kind of run it like this from the back of the terminal, run it down into this hole here, and then run it to the bottom side of the board. Since this is going to be covered by the socket, I'll just run it to the bottom side and solder it on the bottom. So yeah, won't be too difficult. This hole here, I looked, it's not actually used by anything that I can find. Not like there's no post, no screw, so it should be safe to use. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and solder those two legs into these two holes here, and go ahead and stick this to the board and we'll get it soldered in. Okay guys, so I've got it basically in place now. So what I've done, again, I've just taken, I taped or mounted this battery holder to the board with the tape there. So as you can see, it's pretty strong. It really doesn't want to move. It's pretty good bond there. I have taken the black wire and soldered it to the middle post on the socket. That's the ground, and then that will go into this hole right here. I took those two leads and soldered them into the two holes for the positive side, and I've just kind of got them bent to touch the two terminals on the socket. These are not actually soldered yet. They're just in place, ready to be soldered. But I just kind of wanted to show you kind of what I'm doing here. Again, this is going a little bit out of my way because I am using this leftover socket from the Dreamcast mod. Again, you could use just a regular flat battery socket, kind of like what the Saturn has, and that'd probably be easier. It's just that I'm using what I've got left, and it would take a long time to get it shipped. So I'm just kind of improvising here a little bit. But I also go for a professional look in all of my mods. So I like my work to look clean, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and solder these two terminals on here. Alright, so there's that done. I didn't really bother to heat shrink these because it's not really needed. And I just did this, I put heat shrink on the bottom here just to kind of help keep it stable because it's kind of going around a tight turn there. I just wanted to keep that joint good and strong. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and run the cable down through this empty hole here, and we'll solder it on the back side. So I got my wire run through here. I'm just going to solder it here to this single point here. And just tack that in like that, and there we go. I have to fix that joint. That's not very good, but you get the idea there. So just got the one cable coming down and connected to the back there, and then here's the battery socket itself. We just got that cable running there into that empty space, and the battery socket's all installed, guys. So some of you guys might be shaking your heads right now, thinking that socket is not going to fit with the RF shielding when it's all put back together, and you are totally right. I was aware of that. It's not going to work, but that's fine. Again, I'm working with what I got, so what I'll have to do is I'll have to trim a little bit of the RF shielding out, just a little bit, to make this work. But you know, no big deal. Just a little bit of trimming there. So anyway, here's our battery here. So I'm just going to pop that guy in there, and there we go. So as you can see, it kind of hangs off the side a little bit, and that's actually kind of what I was going for. It lets you grip the battery for future and you know, just pop it out and pop a new one in, and you don't have to, you know, do any. It's easy to take out, basically, is what I'm saying. So yeah, probably not the most ideal solution, but based on what I've got to work with, I think it's a pretty good solution there. So I went ahead and modified the shielding here. So as you can see, I just cut out a little opening there, so it won't interfere with the battery socket we just installed. So I'm just going to slip it on here and just make sure it fits. And just to make sure that it's actually going to work, I'm just going to screw in this side, make sure shielding doesn't interfere with the battery in any kind of way. And yeah, so as you can see, the battery doesn't touch the middle at all, and it's, you know, this is kind of a happy accident. Using this kind of battery socket, you can actually just reach in and, you know, pull this old battery out and pop a new one in, and it's actually, you know, it's easier because you wouldn't have to take the shielding off first and then get to the battery socket inside if you were to install the flat kind. You know, you just take it out, pop one new one in. So awesome. So it's been about a week now. Just got my fuses in the mail, so here's the replacement here. This is an exact replacement. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube where when they take the fuse out, they'll actually replace it with like a fuse holder, like an automotive fuse holder, and like the wire gauge is like huge. It's I don't know. I hate when people do that because it just looks so janky. The fuse in the Sega CD is kind of not that great, but I think people could do better than using an automotive fuse holder. I know it's super convenient to replace it, but to me that's just kind of janky. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace it with a direct replacement fuse. I don't want to have any janky looking stuff in my CD. So I'm just going to really quickly. I'm just going to do this the easy way. I'm just going to snip this fuse off, so I don't have to worry about desoldering this thing. So there you go, guys, replacement fuse installed. Not too hard. You do have to go online and buy these fuses off of eBay, and it takes about a week for the new fuses to get shipped in, but it's not too overbearing. So now I don't have to jump this thing anymore, and it'll just power right on the first time. Okay, so we got all those problems fixed in the Sega CD. I went ahead and cleaned up the case, got it all nice and clean, no more dirt on that. Got it all put back together, and we are ready to test it out one final time, make sure everything works. So we're going to pop in some Final Fight CD here, and we'll turn on the unit. We have our access light flashing there, so that's a good sign. And this should start up shortly. Those sweet load times. So there we go, guys. we are all finished with this thing. Looks like it's working great. God, I love me some Final Fight CD. I've always wanted to play this. Finally I can with my with this new Sega CD. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I know there's a million videos on YouTube on how to replace the fuses in these things, so I didn't go over that too much, but I did want to touch on cleaning the disk drive, replacing the battery, just getting it all cleaned up there and working and everything, because I don't see a lot of videos on those two aspects. It's mainly just like the fuse. There's like a bazillion of those videos for some reason. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something, and in the meantime, take care.